Contractors with New York City's buildings department are now on site in the Bronx, removing what's left of that ventilation shaft, which collapsed yesterday.
It's a painstaking process, going brick by brick to not cause any additional damage. So joining us this morning is Emergency Management Commissioner Zach Iscol to update us on the cleanup and the investigation. So good morning to you. Thanks for taking the time to come into this morning.
Always great to be with you guys. Thanks for having me on.
I mean, let's start with the latest. Have they confirmed exactly what the cause was of this explosion?
There was an explosion. We're still investigating the cause of the explosion. But right now, while that investigation is taking place, the primary concern is making sure all the residents are safe, doing the demolition. And then it's a pretty large NYCHA campus, and so we're working very hard to restore utilities, gas, electric, heat, hot water, not electric, heat and hot water to that facility.
It appears as of right now that entire collapse was contained to that one shaft. Were there no apartments damaged at all in this?
No, so we've had, building inspectors and engineers going through the building. Still some work to do in some of the areas, but they've been in all of those apartments, on the roof, the foundation. No real damage to the building itself. It's just that boiler chimney that collapsed.
Do you know when the last time the boiler was inspected?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I know that, NYCHA does a lot of work over the summer preparing the boilers for the winter. Boilers are also used all year round, right?
Yeah.
They deliver hot water. So, but I don't know when that particular one was inspected
How
last.
often are they supposed to be inspected?
They do their inspections throughout the summer. They start as soon as cold weather season ends. They start doing the maintenance on the process of all the boilers around the city.
I've heard so many different things about what happened the morning of.
Yeah.
Do we know the systems or steps that happened before this? I heard that perhaps the boiler was turned on somehow and the blast came soon after. What do we know about the sequence of events?
Yeah, so that is still, as I said, and I hate to sound like a broken record on this because I know people want to know sort of what is the cause of this. There's really an investigation that needs to take place, and I don't want to get ahead of that and sort of what we suspect at this time, because often I have found in this role, often some of the first things that you expect may have caused something is actually wrong. So we know that there was some sort of gas buildup.
Okay.
We don't know exactly what the cause of that was, and then there was something that started that explosion in that chimney that caused it to collapse. But as I said, the life safety agencies, FDNY, NYPD, our team on the scene immediately. Very lucky, nobody was hurt. And then we shifted into what we call sort of after response, sort of recovery operations of helping get people back into their building, helping restore utilities, and making sure people are safe.
I mean, let's talk about people that don't even live in that building. We're talking about 2,500 NYCHA buildings that are similar to this one. That's what, like 500,000 folks that are living.
A lot of people live in NYCHA. There's some
lot.
statistic about it being one of the largest cities in America if it just stood on its own.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of them are panicking. Like, is this going to happen to us?
Yeah. So first off, there was no structural issue with the building. That's one thing that people need to understand, right? Two, I think as we do this investigation, we'll identify, are there things that need to change in terms of protocols or otherwise? We won't really know that, but this is not something that people need to be concerned about, that suddenly, boiler chimneys around the city are going to start collapsing, or we're going to have these types of gas explosions, right? These are very, very rare. And then if there's anything that needs to change after we sort of have a better assessment of what actually happened, NYCHA will do that.
But this will, of course, shine a wider light on infrastructure concerns across the NYCHA system. So how will you reassure residents that it may not be your boiler, but some other thing could possibly not be stable or secure?
I mean, I'm not, NYCHA has a lot of aging facilities. What I will say, having been up there with the team all day there yesterday, the folks that work at NYCHA who are doing the response, doing the maintenance, there's really some amazing men and women who work for that organization day in and day out. And yes, it's aging infrastructure. It hasn't been funded properly in a lot of cases, but they are the ones that are really holding this together. And I will tell you, having worked with a lot of public servants, the folks that were on the ground yesterday with us were amazing. The engagement with the community, the engagement with the elected officials. We set up a reception center with them. They put the 40 families that lived in the 40 units that were impacted up in hotels for a number of days. Delivering hot trucks and meals to folks. A lot of work being done to deliver for that community up there. And I will also say a huge thank you to that community. The community up at Mitchell Houses yesterday, their tenant association leaders, the residents there, they were incredible all day. That is not something that you want to wake up to in the morning. That's not how you want to spend your day. And the folks up there were really, really amazing. And we're working very hard with that community to make sure that we're restoring services and getting people back into their homes.
Do you know if there were ever any complaints?
I don't know about that specific, about the boiler or about that specific thing. I mean, look, every building is going to have complaints, right, in the city, but I don't think there were any that were specifically related to that I'm actually aware of.
I know it's still early, but do we know anything about a repair timeline, when things will be back to normal there?
Yeah, so there's still some additional demolition work that needs to be done, and that's sort of the initial concern, right? Because you still have remnants of that chimney that are still there, and that is very dangerous. And you can see there's a huge crack that still exists on the remaining bricks. So right now, throughout today, we're removing that brick by brick. Once that's done, we're moving in a mobile boiler, which will restore heat and hot water to the campus. And then we're also working very, very closely with Con Ed to restore a gas service, which is primarily for cooking, to the rest of the campus.
Do you know the timeline of that, at least?
I don't know. I think, once we do the demolition work, we should have an update probably around 11 or 12. We expect that to take probably another 10 to 12 hours. But again, as you do these things come up, you discover new things. We might find, some additional issues that we need to address, right? But right now, I think once we get that debris cleared, we've been working in conjunction to make sure that we can restore gas fairly quickly. But these things are always sort of moving puzzle pieces.
You saw it firsthand. How miraculous is this that nobody was hurt?
It's lucky that somebody wasn't standing out there, that there wasn't more structural damage. So certainly.
All right.
Yeah.
Commissioner, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, it's great to be with you guys. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you.